not just within the Democratic Party, but of course across the United States, as we will see protest over the visit come to the very heart of Washington.
All right, let's take you to Bangladesh now, where we've been tracking another big story. The Bangladeshi telecommunications minister says broadband internet will be partially restored starting Tuesday night, 5 days after it was shut down following widespread anti-government protests. Well, the unrest began when students started protesting against quotas in government jobs. Almost 150 people have been killed and more than 1,600 arrested. Well, the authorities have now scrapped most of the quotas, but a nationwide curfew is still in place and thousands of soldiers are patrolling the cities and towns. But to understand really what lies ahead, let's speak to Professor Ali Riaz, Senior Fellow at the Atlantic Council and President of the American Institute of Bangladesh Studies. Thank you very much, Mr. Ali Riaz, for your time here on Newsday on BBC News. Well, on Monday, some of the protest leaders gave the government a 48-hour ultimatum to lift the curfew, but Sheikh Hasina said she will only do it if the situation improves. How are you seeing it? Is the situation improving?
The situation is improving in the sense that there has been less violence on the street, but now that this, at least partially, this they have lifted the ban or restrictions have been relaxed. There are news coming out, there are visuals coming out, what kind of atrocities that has been taken place over the last couple of days. So I don't think that this is the end of the situation, despite the fact that there is less violence. In the coming days, things might actually turn around and things might get worse.
In fact, we are playing out some of those images from earlier on during those protests and clashes between student protesters as well as the police there on the ground. But Professor, the Supreme Court recently made that concession on job quotas, but that's not going to be enough, is it? Are there more to these protests, you feel?
Absolutely. I mean, the quota part is the students' issue. And so far, even the Supreme Court's direction is not sufficiently addressing what they are asking for. Without a law passed in the legislature, there is no solution to it. But most importantly, it has transformed because it has become a perfect storm for Sheikh Hasina because of the economic crisis that the country is facing, but also the political situation. The increasing autocratic system that she has built around her is now being challenged by the people on the street. So it is not only the quota system, any state is going to reduce the situation or completely shut down the disgruntled population that we have seen on the street in the past days.
In fact, I wanted to press you on that point because a lot of critics have said and accused Sheikh Hasina of autocratic rule. The opposition has repeatedly boycotted elections, saying they're not free and fair. Then are these protests the beginning of something bigger in Bangladesh? And how worried would the Sheikh Hasina administration be?
Look, Arunada, already the situation has been on its path to become this. What we have seen is a long time coming. It is not only the opposition which has been complaining or alleging that it is an autocratic system. Look what happened in the last 5 days. Does any democratic government, any semblance of democracy would have dealt with its own citizens like this? So this is basically only brute force that has been used, and that is the basis of this government. They do not have a performance legitimacy because of the economic crisis. They don't have a moral legitimacy because of the elections have not taken place properly. And now it is simply a force. The question is how long a regime can sustain based on simple force and coercion.
I just want to also focus on Sheikh Hasina's accusations, where she's talking about the opposition, accusing them of inciting protests, holding them responsible for the killings. What, in your opinion, has been the opposition's role? Has there been an attempt to try and hijack the protests for a larger political motive?
I didn't see that one. As a matter of fact, someone can complain against the opposition that they didn't come out. This movement, with the quota movement, has been separated. But when it started to become a popular, mobilization, it has been very much grassroots. In some measure, there is something to be worried about. A leaderless movement might actually turn into an anarchy. But at this point, what this leaderless movement is asking is a plain and simple thing, that there should be a transition to a democratic system which would address their economic concern as well as address their political disenfranchisement.
All right, Professor Ali Riaz, appreciate your time and your thoughts here on Newsday. Thank you very much for joining us. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News.